This is Gus Summers, and you're watching In-Show Celebrities. This is the time I take every Monday to talk about some of my favorite films and actors. This week, we have one of Hollywood's most suave and debonair actors. Of course, I'm talking about Mr. Pierce Brosnan. This wonderful actor started off wanting to be a commercial illustrator. And not only did he study to do that, he also fell in love with street performing and even worked in a circus before he found his true passion. Of course, that was acting. He went on to go to London's prestigious Drama Center. After finishing studies there, he went on to work in theater to learn all aspects of what it takes to put on a play. And then, as he was pursuing his career, one of the luckiest breaks occurred when one of America's most prestigious playwrights chose him to co-star in one of his London productions. And that was Mr. Tennessee Williams, and it was his play, The Red Devil Battery Sign. Pierce so impressed Tennessee Williams that when the play was over, Tennessee Williams wrote him a handwritten letter thanking him and praising him for his performance. That letter touched Pierce Brosnan so much that he still has it to this day. Well, after the play, Pierce Brosnan just continued to grow as an actor. He became more well known in the acting community. During this time, he would even meet the love of his life, fellow actress Cassandra Harris. They would eventually get married and make their way to Hollywood. And in Hollywood, that's when the next big break came. Of course, we know it was when he got the leading role in the TV series Remington Steele. This just shot him into a stratosphere that few actors could have accomplished in such a short time. And not only gave him national fame, but it gave him world-renowned fame. That as soon as Remington Steele was over, he was already making feature films, and in a short time he would star as the most iconic film character ever to emerge in cinema. Of course, I'm talking about 007, James Bond. Well, before he got that role, he did so many roles before that, so many feature films. And first up is the film that he did basically right after Remington Steele. It's a psychological, supernatural thriller. The film, Nomads. He plays Jean-Charles Borromée, a French anthropologist. In the beginning of the film, you see him be brought into the ER. He's basically, been beat up. His clothes are torn. He's bloody. He's speaking incoherently, and they're trying to calm him down. Well, in comes the ER doctor, Dr. Elaine Flax, portrayed wonderfully by Lesley-Anne down. Well, she's trying to calm Pierce down and understand what he's saying. She doesn't speak French. They're looking for a French interpreter, and she's trying to take care of his wounds and calm him down. When she thinks he's at ease, he suddenly bursts up, grabs her, and brings her close to him and starts whispering something in her ear. And you see when you look at the film that she's somewhat in a trance. And this is where the supernatural aspect comes in. What you learn is that he somehow put into her memory the last few days of his life. And right after this happens, she breaks away from him. Everyone comes in to, kind of calm him down. And you hear someone say, he's dead. He's died. And so now you as an audience member, the principal actor has has died. So, where's the story going to go to now? Well, Lesley-Anne Down is in shock, and she's starting to get these memories, which you realize that they're his memories from the past, basically week and last few days. And so she begins to see this in her mind. We, as the audience, see this on screen. It's kind of like a split screen type thing. You see his life being played out as the movie, and then in the past, and then simultaneously she's reliving his life by going to the same places, saying and doing the same things. And all this is happening to her. Basically, she's kind of like in a trance. She'll wake up somewhere and suddenly just be there and know what he experienced. Well, what ended up happening was a week before he was in the hospital, you see that he settles down in Los Angeles. He's going to take a teaching position at UCLA because he wants a stable, calm life for his wife, because he's been dragging her all over the world. His wife, another wonderful actress. She plays Nikki Permier, Anne-Marie Monticelli. You can tell that they're in love, that they love each other, and she supports his work. And, she's happy to be now in a home where they're able to be together. While you learn that his travelings, his studies were to go to different cultures around the world and learn about the indigenous people, their folklore, their religion, their spirituality. And all that comes into play when he suddenly goes outside. One night he's at his house. He goes outside to get something from his car, and he sees that his house has been vandalized. And he's trying to, make sense of this. He also sees that there's a black van and a bunch of people, basically hoodlums, hanging around. He just gets this odd feeling about it. Well, as he pursues, this feeling, and he begins to make the connection that what he has seen in his lifetime abroad can be applied here to these people. He realizes that out in the indigenous world with these indigenous people, that there were nomads. And then he realizes that this group of people are actually urban nomads, but there's something more to them. And so he realizes that they are attracted to his house because he finds out that there was a murder that happened in his home. And he realizes, like I said from his past experience, that they are attracted to the negative energy. Wherever there's violence, they're attracted to. So he begins to kind of investigate. While we're seeing that as an audience, at the same time in the present, Lesley-Anne Down is, again, like I said, reliving his past few days. So she's going to the places that he was at pursuing these people. And as he's pursuing them, I don't want to give away who they are, what have you. But he begins to take pictures because, he's also like a photojournalist, takes pictures of the people and everything. Odd things begin to happen to the photos. And he, again, is making sense of it, that this group is very similar to the groups that he has studied abroad. And so now, there's a supernatural aspect to it. If I give it away, then you'll know too much too soon. But I do want to mention one thing, because it gets a little creepy. It's a horror film, but it's not gore. It's more, left to the mind, to the imagination, which I think, are better horror films. There's just one scene where, he comes across this old nun in a church. I think anyone, even if it wasn't a horror film, you'd be all freaked out. There's this nun who knows things, knows his name, knows what's happening, knows these people he's pursuing, and now they're pursuing him, and she's saying, you gotta leave, you gotta run, this won't end good, and he's like, he's all petrified. And so, basically, the story is twofold. We're watching Lesley-Anne Down relive his life, and seeing everything that he did up to the time he was brought to the ER. She even talks to his wife. We see his life from the time he starts following the nomads up to the time he's basically brought to the ER and what happens there. But great film. You know, like again, like I mentioned, I liked it because it's a horror film, but it's a psychological, supernatural thriller, not gore. Nice film. Just want to mention on a side note, this film, you see Pierce with his hair a little longer and a full beard. Because we knew him in Remington Steele as being very coiffed. His hair was always perfect, clean shaven, well dressed. Here he's a little more, he's like an anthropologist, you know, he's a little more rugged. And I have to say that when I saw his beard, when I saw him in a beard, I said, I love that. I need to grow a beard. And it is because of Pierce Brosnan in this movie that I grew my first beard. So thank you, Pierce. Well, the next film, of course, you know, as I mentioned, he is, you know, we know him as, you know, a suave, debonair, you know, character. No matter, even if he plays like an anthropologist, he still has this finesse to him. And I think this movie really highlighted his ability to be smooth, to be elegant. Of course, the film I'm talking about is the Thomas Crown Affair. You know, he plays Thomas Crown, a wealthy financier who basically has whatever he wants, can get whatever he wants, and he's basically bored. You know, because he tries to do, you know, business hard tactics, and it bores him. You know, people bore him, and so on and so forth. And so he devises a scheme that will challenge, you know, everything about him. What he wants to do, or what he ends up doing, is stealing a Monet from the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. So he sets up this elaborate ruse to you know, distract the guards. People think a crime's happening in another place when he's actually stealing the Monet. So he takes it. Now the investigation begins. We have a New York City detective who's in charge of it. The detective, his name's Michael McCann. I think what a great role for this actor. I think he fits the perfect New York cop who's, you know, streetwise, street tough, and, you know, just a perfect role for him. The actor, Mr. Denis Leary. You know, we always know him as kind of being, you know, vulgar and such, but, you know, he has a great ability to play, you know, so many vast roles, but I think he pegged this one right on the money. He portrayed the perfect, you know, New York police detective. So he's investigating, and he's thinking, well, you know, he's thinking that the first crime has something to do with the second crime, but then an insurance agent comes in, and all she's concerned about is the painting. And she says, that's just a ruse. They were after the Monet. The character, the insurance agent, her name is Catherine Banning. You know, all she's about is the art, recovering the artwork. Another wonderful actress, Renee Russo. You know, she does. I love it how she plays this wonderful, sophisticated, worldly investigator. That it's not she's just putting on this role. This is who she is, and you know, and she loves doing what she does. Well, as her and Denis Leary are trying to collaborate on the investigation, she's realizing the police are taking too long. So she decides to jumpstart the investigation and goes right to Thomas Crown and accuse him. I know you have the painting. Make it easy on yourself, and you know we'll do it that way. If not, if you want to make it hard, I'm going to get you. So here's Pierce Brosnan, Thomas Crown, thinking no one's his equal. But here comes Renee Russo saying, you know, hey, I'm your equal and better, which I love about the film. And that is basically the entire film. That's the cast. It's just basically them. You see, you have other supporting characters. You have wonderful characters like Thomas Crown's a lawyer, another brilliant actor. He plays Wallace, Ben Gazzara, and also Pierce Brosnan's psychiatrist. another wonderful actor, and I love that they put her in the movie because it's a wonderful way to pay homage to the first one. Of course, we know that the first Thomas Crown starred Steve McQueen. You know, both films are excellent, and then you can't even compare them. They're their own separate movies, and you'll love both of them. But his psychiatrist was Steve McQueen's co-star in the original Thomas Crown Affair, Faye Dunaway. So I was so glad to see that they gave her a spot in the new one. So the film is just Pierce Brosnan and Rene Russo playing cat and mouse at first, and then they begin to have feelings for each other. So now Denis Leary is telling Rene Russo, "What are you doing? You're getting personally involved." And she said, "I know what I'm doing." He's all, "You don't. You're getting too close to this." So you have that aspect of it, that she's trying to get the painting from him. Pierce Brosnan knows that she's trying to get the painting. He doesn't admit that he have it. She's saying, "I know you have it." Denis Leary is saying, "You're too close to this. We're going to get him." And she's saying, "It's going to take too long. I'll get him first." So, in that aspect, again, great acting. I love when you have people who know their crafts and are able to really, dig themselves into a role and, give us a wonderful performance that you actually believe that they are these people. Again, great film. I know you enjoy it. Just watch it just to see how suave and how easily Pierce Brosnan fits into this, wealthy, eccentric, probably billionaire who needs a little excitement in his life, and so he does, something quote unquote innocent. He doesn't hurt anybody. It's an innocent crime. He just steals a Monet. But great film. I loved him in this. Loved the entire concept. Great film. All right, the last film. Of course, I would have to mention the most iconic character he's ever played, James Bond. He made 4 of them. It was a coin toss. I couldn't say I like this one better, I like that one, because each one has its own aspects. I just basically had to flip some coins and one out, just because, like I said, the coin toss. The film, The World Is Not Enough. Of course, we know he plays James Bond, a role I think he was made for. What's wonderful to know is that his first wife, Cassandra Harris, actually played one of the Bond women in one of the Roger Moore Bond movies. And it was when she was on that film that Pierce Brosnan actually met Albert Broccoli. And Broccoli had told him, when Roger Moore is done, you'll get the part. But as many people know, and some people don't know, because of contractual obligations with Remington Steele, Roger Moore had, done his last Bond movie. Pierce Brosnan was in, but he had to do last year of Remington Steele. The part went to Timothy Dalton, great actor as well. But Pierce Brosnan just had to wait a few more years, and then the role came back to him. So, great movie. This was actually the third Bond movie. The World Is Not Enough. But in the beginning, you see that he's in Spain dealing with some Swiss bankers in regards to he's pretending to get some a report that was taken from another agent who was killed. So he's there saying, I'm here to buy this report. Where's the money? And then when all hell breaks loose, he tells him, I don't want anything other than to tell me who killed the agent. And so when they start to, try to double cross him, he ends up killing everybody. And when he's almost caught, someone mysteriously, helps him. So a sniper kills one of the other gunmen, allowing him, Pierce Brosnan, to escape, and he takes the money with him. And so he didn't get the report. He didn't get the name of the person who killed the agent, but he at least got the money to take it back. Well, now he's back at MI6. He's there with the money, he's helping count the money. They're putting it all away because they're going to give it back to the rightful owner. Sir, I remember his name was Richard King, Sir Richard King. He's the owner and operator of a King Industry, a massive oil refinery company. They drill, they do all sorts of things. So the money is his. He's a friend of M's, and he's there thanking them for for the business they're doing. He's going to go get his money. Well, meanwhile, Pierce Brosnan was having a drink, and he touched the ice, and a chemical reaction happens in his fingers, and he realizes that something's amiss with the money. So he knows it's some sort of bomb or something's going to happen. So he's trying to get to King, but he's too late, and the money was actually a bomb. It explodes and kills King, kills people in MI6, and blows a big giant hole in the wall. Well, when Pierce Brosnan is kind of looking around, he looks out the hole and he sees a boat on the river, and he realizes that the gal on the boat was the same gal who was in the office with the Swiss banker. Well, she tries to shoot him. And she's on a speedboat, and she takes off, and Pierce Brosnan goes and jumps in a special boat, filled with rockets and everything. And Q's like, no, it's not finished. And he takes off. So he follows her. So for the next about 10 minutes, you're having this great boat chase through the Thames and all the different rivers, even the city. He goes off on the city roads. So he ends up catching her. He says, I can protect you. Tell us what you know. She said, no, you can't protect me from him. And tries to blow herself up because she's in this hot air balloon trying to escape. She blows the tank. He lets himself fall and gets hurt. But now begins the story of who set the explosive, who wanted a King dead, who targeted MI6. So now, Pierce Brosnan's hurt, James Bond's hurt. They don't want to give him clear him medically, so he go back to work. And so, he has to convince the doctor, and he convinces the doctor the James Bond way. Anyways, they learn that they believe the terrorist named Reynard, another great actor, Robert Carlyle. They believe that Reynard is up to his old tricks, that he's targeting MI6 and specifically King, because sometime earlier Reynard had kidnapped King's daughter, Elektra, and that didn't work out well. He wanted $5 million. They weren't going to pay the ransom. He did some nasty things to her, but she was able to escape, and escape the ordeal, and they haven't caught him since. So they think that he's targeting the family again, and his next target is going to be Elektra. Elektra, another wonderful actress, a French actress. She plays Elektra King. She's Sophie Marceau. You see her in many things, but she plays King's daughter, and now she's in charge of the entire enterprise. And what's happening is that she's trying to build an 800-mile pipeline, and which is competing with Russia and their 3 pipelines, and this would be the only pipeline for the West, so it needs to be done. So you think it has to do with Reynard targeting her for the pipeline, targeting her family, again. And so M tells James Bond, I'll put you back on. And he's saying, I think it's Elektra who's going to be targeted again, and she gives him the okay to go. So you really have to follow the movie, because that's just like the first 20 minutes. Because then it gets into nuclear sabotage. It gets into Russian conspiracies. It gets into double cross and then triple cross, all sorts of things. So we get introduced to physicist. and she's the one that kind of blows the deal when James Bond is going undercover trying to figure out what's going on. He almost has Reynard, but the doctor blows his cover. The doctor is named Christmas Jones, and she's portrayed by Denise Richards. You know, she plays, like I said, a physicist who is there decommissioning all the nuclear devices and what have you, and she inadvertently blows Bond's cover, and then she realizes that Bond is actually a good guy, and it is Reynard and all the other people who are, you know, the enemies. But you know, it's hard to do any justice to, you know, the world is not enough, because you have, you know, a ski chase where, you know, ski patrols come on parachutes and are shooting at them, and they're you know, riding along. Then they're skiing, and then they go into the big tube, the oil, the pipeline of the oil, trying to stop this nuclear bomb. And then they have this incident on the nuclear submarine. Then they get attacked at a pier with these giant tree trimming devices. You know, there's just so much going on, but it works all together, and it is you know, a great film. And again, it shows Pierce Brosnan at his best, playing what he does, you know, great at, the suave, the tough, the, you know, get the job done character that he's so well known for. Again, great movie. I just do want to say one thing. There's one character I mentioned it before when I talked about James Bond. It was Q, Desmond Llewellyn. He played Q since the very first James Bond, from Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, up to Pierce Brosnan. And this movie happened to be his last. He passed away. But you know, he was the staple of all the Bond movies. Because, you know, I thought it was fitting. The thing I love that he told Bond right before he was going to go out, he says, "You know what, Bond? There's two things I always try to teach you. One, never let them see you bleed. Two, always have an escape plan." What a, you know, what a great, you know, what a great thing. You know, it's like, you know, the father telling the son, "Remember these things, because these are the last things I'm going to tell you." Well, you know, great films. You know, and that's barely the surface of his career. You know, I haven't even talked about, you know, a film that he made when he came to the United States, The Mansions of America. He even did another TV miniseries, which was great. I loved it, Noble House. And on top of that, another miniseries, I think it was perfect, Around the World in 80 Days. Again, great film. And of course, he's still making movie after movie. He just did November Man, great action film, and he's still coming with more films in the future. Fantastic career. Always excited to see new films, and of course, thank you for the inspiration for the beard. Thank you, Mr. Brosnan. Well, that's what I got for you today. Well, this is Gus Summers, and you've been watching In-Show Celebrities. This is the time I take every Monday to talk about some of my favorite films and actors. And remember, don't forget to visit us at theinshow.com every Monday from 1 to 2 p.m. when I host The In-Show. And that's when I bring on all sorts of celebrities and guests to talk about, you know, their projects or whatever it is that's on their mind. Of course, don't forget to visit us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Flickr, Instagram, all those great social media sites. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, Gus has left the building.